You're listening to Customer Growth Sessions, presented by Intergrowth, where we talk through strategies to help up-and-coming e-commerce businesses bring in more customers. I'm your host, Pat Ahern. Let's jump in. All right, listeners, welcome back to the latest episode of Customer Growth Sessions. Today, I'm thrilled to have on serial entrepreneur Marcy McKenna. Marcy, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you today.
Thank you, Pat. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure. So I'm going to introduce you. I know you have a couple different ventures that you work on, but I'm going to introduce you as the creator and founder of Live Shopping Academy. Starting out, though, tell us a little more about your entrepreneurial journey. You've started a lot of different businesses. How did you get to where you are today?
Great question. I was born into a family of inventors, and my great-grandfather was a big-time inventor. Lots of cool inventions to his name. So it was kind of been sort of a way of life for me forever. And since I was little, I would invent board games and just different ways to organize my Barbie clothes. And I kind of kept this binder of all these invention ideas that I had over the years. And I thought, well, someday I'm going to take at least one of these and turn it into $1 million product, invention into a product. And it was about 2012, I think it was, when our life sort of took a turn, and financially we were really struggling. And this was married, 3 little ones, and just really kind of a scary time when my husband's business went on strike for an indefinite period of time. And I thought, you know what? If ever there's a time for me to take one of those inventions and turn it into a product, it's now. And so I took the leap. And when I did that, coincidentally, the very night that I made that decision, I went online kind of looking to see if my product had already existed and was I infringing on any patents. And I came across an invention reality show that Kelly Ripa was doing. And she was looking for female inventors that had a product that the winner would have her product and her on HSN, the Home Shopping Network here in America. And I sent in my invention, or at least a video of what my invention would be, and told them that I had a prototype for it. And anyway, long story short, the stars were aligned. I got on the show and ended up winning. And that really propelled me into the world of live shopping, because by being the winner, I was taking my product and launching it on HSN. And so it opened that door for me, and it really sort of gave me the bug. I learned so much about live shopping just from even my first show that I ever did there. And I was so intrigued by what I saw and the numbers that I saw and the excitement that would happen every time a new product launches on HSN or QVC. They're now under the same umbrella, that it just was the impetus that I needed to really build a whole career in product development and product entrepreneurship. So now today I have my own product line on HSN that is all very travel related. Originally it was Simply Solved by Marcy McKenna. So it was very sort of simple solutions to everyday problems. And it's evolved over time to be a very travel specific product line for women. And so that is probably the core of my business. But during the pandemic, I had some time because I wasn't flying back and forth I live in California, HSN is in Florida. And they called and said, I was thinking they were going to shut down HSN during the pandemic in terms of the live shopping element, because we couldn't get there. We couldn't be at the studio. But instead they called and said, we need you to go live from your living room. And that scared the bejesus out of me. I thought, what about the producers and and all the fancy cameras and all of that? And they just said, can you figure it out? And kind of gave us a couple tips. And before I knew it, I had to go live from my living room. And it was a lot of trial and error, but I figured it out and then started doing that on Amazon Live and Pinterest TV, and just really enjoyed it so much and saw what the results could be. And I just was realizing how many brands were trying to get into live shopping, but feeling so clueless and so scared to do it. That kind of propelled me to create the Live Shopping Academy and to teach brands, number one, how to do it and how simple it really can be. But number two, the benefits that you can get from doing live shopping. So few people understand. Yes, there's some incredible statistics around it, but there's so many little hidden benefits that brands that are diving in are seeing and capitalizing on in such a big way. So it kind of became a passion project of mine to want to share that And really, especially I work with a lot of startup companies and women. I run the Women in Ventures Club. And especially those smaller brands that are really trying to find a way to stand out amongst all of the noise in e-com, that I thought if I can teach them about live shopping and show them how to get started, that's going to really give them a leg up and sort of level the playing field when it comes to the e-com space. And so it's been a journey and it's been fun and it continues. It's an element of my business that I love so much, really enjoying that.
Amazing story. For the listeners maybe that aren't quite as familiar with live shopping, I'd love to take a step back. What is live shopping?
Great question. So live shopping really began with HSN. Actually, HSN was the first one to do it in the 80s. And then so QVC came after. So those are sort of the traditional live shopping where you're live on television with them back in the day. It's live on television and you're selling a product and you have a certain period of time that you're selling that product within, say maybe 8 to 10 minutes. And people can call in and ask you questions and kind of interact with you real time, but ultimately purchase right then and there. And there was something that was just so fascinating about that to me when I was watching. As I said, the numbers are staggering. And I really started kind of dissecting that and thinking, why are they doing such huge business? And what is it about this platform or this structure that's working so well when it comes to sales? And so it was in that kind of investigation about it that I got so intrigued and wanted to share this with all the other brands. But today, yes, QVC and HSN are still a thing, so to speak, but it is really sort of the modern age of live shopping now where it's anyone can go live anytime and have their own little mini QVC or HSN. I mentioned Amazon Live, but really it began. And another thing that really intrigued me was what was happening in Asia, which is really where it began in about 2016. Alibaba, I believe, it was the first one to try this out. And they did it on the biggest shopping day of the year. Nobody knew how it was going to go, but they said, let's live stream, much like QVC and HSN do, and see what kind of reaction we get and what happens with sales. And what happened was in that 24-hour period, they sold $17 billion worth of product via live shopping, billion with a B, and only in 24 hours. So clearly they said, we are onto something and we are going to continue this in a big way. And it's just done huge upward trajectory ever since. So it's huge there. Amazon got into it, but believe it or not, actually in 2019 was when they first launched. Very few people know that. Even today, people think they're starting to hear about Amazon Live. And so they're thinking it's brand new, but really it's been around for quite a while. And brands are just kind of catching on to the value that's there and saying, why didn't we know about this? Why haven't we done this? And so that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to be talking to you about it today, is just to share the information with everybody and make sure everybody knows. And as an Amazon seller, you're allowed to go live on Amazon anytime you want. And very few people even understand that. They didn't know that was something that they had access to. But it's done, mentioning Amazon, but it's really across all the social media platforms. It's Facebook Live, it's Instagram Live. As I mentioned, Pinterest TV. You can do it on your own website. You can do it through marketplace platforms like Amazon. So there's so many different options to do it nowadays that there's really very few obstacles standing in your way. But it's just about knowing how to get started and how to capitalize on it when you do.
That's amazing, hearing the figures in terms of revenue that Alibaba was able to get from it. Within that, I'd love to talk a little bit deeper about some of the benefits, but I think a place I'd really like to start, let's say for the listeners that are a little bit more skeptical on live shopping, why should they really think about it? How is it that it can generate so much sales for their business?
Well, if you're just looking at hard statistics, that to me, I think right when people start to see those and hear those, they'll perk up immediately. And that is just sales conversion in general. We're looking at about 10 times sales conversion when you do live shopping versus just a static e-com post, which is, roughly around 2.8%. So you're 10xing that just for starters. One of the great statistics a few other great statistics that I am in love with are the average order value. That is about 3 times. So, because what's happening when you're live is you're able to, let's say I'm selling a makeup foundation and I'm showing how to use the makeup foundation. Then I would say, oh, by the way, this blush really complements it nicely. And here's this, and you can buy this also. And if you're using this blush, here's a great blush brush that you can use as well. So you're able to really get that order value up so quickly with live shopping. And I also find what my hero product on HSN is called the beauty case, Marcy McKenna beauty case. And I'm finding people are buying 10, 12 at a time because I really hone in on the gifting element and talk about all the different ways to gift it and what you can put inside of it when you gift it. And you just see the numbers exponentially increase when I start doing that. And those kinds of things, it's really hard to communicate that on a static e-com page or product listing. But in live shopping, it's really easy to communicate that. And it's incredible what happens with that. The other thing that happens is return rates are going down by about 50%, which if you're in this space, you know how important that is and that returns can absolutely kill a business. So because of live shopping, because you're live, because you're able to give the viewer that almost like a tactile, almost like they're in the store with you. They can ask questions. They can see it up closer. They want to know what the measurements are. They want to see in context what it looks like next to something else. So by the time they get it home, they know everything there is to know about that product. So they're not going to send it back because they have all the information up front. There's very little that's left up to the imagination. And you're also in a live shopping segment able to give them so many tips about how to use it properly and how not to use it, which is just as important many times. So because of that, again, by the time they get it, they know exactly how to use it and how to maximize the benefits of it. And they have all the facts. And so the returns, as you can imagine, go down significantly. And at the same time, the positive reviews are skyrocketing because not only because they understand the product, you've built an authentic connection with them through live shopping. So they know you now. They feel like they know you and they trust you and they like you. And so therefore, they're going to be much more apt to take the time to write a review. And when they do, typically it's a strong review. So those are just a few of the statistics around that, but they're really, really compelling and can make such a huge difference for any brand, big or small. But I find especially with startups that are really struggling to get a foothold and build a tribe for their product or for their brand.
Along those lines, I could imagine small brands or earlier stage brands would almost get this competitive advantage because in many cases, there's a little bit less red tape. I would assume that they need to get around. If you have a massive brand who's doing live shopping events, I would imagine there's probably a little bit more involvement from legal, making sure that they're not describing anything incorrectly. You have quite a bit more leeway when you're an early stage brand rolling that out.
Very much so. Yeah, you're spot on because there were so many big brands out of the gate that have really struggled. And there's so many stakeholders within the company that have to be involved in a live shopping event. Whereas when you're a solopreneur or you just have a couple people in your company, you guys are all in it together and you can pivot on a dime and you can make a decision to go live whenever you want. And you don't have to answer to anybody. So they're able to really, get in the game much quicker and make changes much quicker too. If something's not working right, maybe the marketing message isn't resonating the way they hoped it would, they can quickly shift and do another live shopping event and change it up and see how that goes. So there's a lot of kind of fun testing that can go on with live shopping. And it's that interaction, live interaction with the customer that brands are really loving and really capitalizing on that in terms of, I just mentioned the marketing element of it and changing your messaging based on how it's resonating, but also even the product development side as well. Much of my product development I do in conjunction with my live shopping events. I'll hold a Facebook Live and invite all my favorite VIP customers and say, I need to get your opinion. I'm getting ready to roll out a new luggage collection and I'm deciding between 5 colors. What do you guys think? Or is there any feature that you think I should add to this collection? And they are so excited to be a part of that process and to feel kind of connected to your entrepreneurial journey that ultimately, when I launch that luggage collection, they can't wait. They are so on board because they were a part of your journey and then they want to share it with other people as well. So that's creating that connection, building that tribe through live shopping is one of the most valuable elements I think there is there.
With live shopping, to me, It seems so intuitive that it would be an incredible sales channel, but I wouldn't have thought of it as a tool that you could use to really figure out what is that next line of products that you're going to roll out. That's brilliant, Marcy.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of brands are using it specifically for that. And one of the things I kind of advise brands on in general is to not think of it so much as a sales channel, because I think when your live shopping events are very salesy, they don't do as well. So I do, for instance, I have a weekly live shopping show that I do with Grommet called Grommet Live. Greg Roulette and I, who I know was a guest of yours before, our show is very sort of infotainment, if you will. Yes, we're selling products, but we're having so much fun and we're doing giveaways and we're bringing on the inventors of the products and talking to them, or we've got them in the chat and everyone's sort of virtually high-fiving. And so we're finding we're getting the same people back week after week after week, and you feel like them so well. It's a really, really fun journey. And I think for Greg, with being such a huge part of Grommet, he's able to see what's resonating with the customers on Grommet Live. What are the products that we're talking about that the chat is very quiet, not a lot going on? And then what are the products that the chat's going crazy and there's so many questions and people are talking about the ways they're going to gift it. And so then right there, that'll kind of cue him that maybe we need to go deeper on this one vertical of products. It's really interesting. And it's a lot of fun. That's the thing, is I think people are so scared to start, but once they do, it's kind of addicting because it's that real-time feedback that you're getting and you're seeing how excited the customers and the viewers are. And it's just a win on every level.
Now, and with live shopping, is it the type of thing, would you say that any e-commerce brand can roll it out successfully? Are there certain industries that you would say like, hey, I'd recommend it for you, but maybe not so much for you?
Great question. And in the beginning, with the new age of live shopping, there was a lot of thought around this is really for makeup and fashion, or really we're kind of saying it's much better if you're in this category. But what we're finding is it's every category. I mean, in Asia, they're selling multi-million-dollar homes with live shopping. They're selling yachts with live shopping. They're testing out anything and everything, and it's all successful. If you think about the challenges of e-commerce, I think we're marrying what's great about e-commerce with what's great about retail. And so it's the best of both worlds coming together. And that's why it's so successful across every category. So whether it's tech, whether it's gadgets, whether it's trips, travel, anything, you can do that via live shopping. And the challenge, I think, of e-commerce, the beautiful thing of e-commerce is you have this broad reach. You can reach anyone at any time, and there's no obstacle there. But the downside to it is that there isn't that personal connection. There isn't that sort of concierge kind of service that you get in retail, which is the benefit of retail. You can walk in the store, someone will come up. If you have any questions, you can ask them, you can touch it, you can feel it, you could try it on if it's clothing or makeup. So the conversions are so high in retail, but yet they're struggling because they don't have the reach that e-commerce has. Whereas in e-commerce, they've got the reach, but their conversion rate, I think it's 2.8% conversion rate now because of all of that. And then the returns are so high, but live shopping gives them the best of both together. So the viewer does feel like they're getting that concierge service. Hence the reason they're able to sell $1 million homes and yachts and all of that in Asia with live shopping. But that's also why, going back to your question, it works for every category. I've not seen, and this is true, I don't think anybody fail in live shopping. It would be hard the only failure in live shopping is giving up, is starting it and not having enough viewers. And so saying, oh, it's not working. Or another thing is not having a lot of sales and saying, oh, it's not working. But as I said, there's so much more to it that I really wouldn't want brands to look at it from a sales numbers only perspective, because it's such a bigger picture. And there's so much of value there beyond the sales element that you really have to look at all the different sides of it to know whether it's successful. And it is one of those things that it builds over time. It's a marathon and not a sprint. And your viewership will just grow and grow and grow. Even if you don't have, and I always say this to brands that I work with, if nobody shows up, because I know that's a big fear for brands to go live, and then what if there's no viewers? Guess what? It really does not matter, because many times, almost every time, it's what happens after the show. You've got this content now that you can't, I mean, it's a social media content machine, because you can take a whole hour long or half hour long show, splice it up into a bunch of different pieces and get it out there across all your social media platforms, on your website, put it in your email marketing newsletter. And it's just incredible, the wheel that starts turning with that. And so then the sales come after. And that's what we're really finding is about 70% of sales that stem from live shopping happen well after the event.
And to your point, I would imagine that is probably one of the biggest fears of listeners is what happens if I put on my first live shopping event and no one shows up and I'm spending 30 minutes there feeling like I'm talking to myself. But to your point, getting 70% of that value from like the post recording, I mean, there's no downside to at least trying it out, doing a couple events. And worst case scenario, you get all this incredible content that you can repurpose.
Yeah, for sure. And it's almost in the beginning, you kind of maybe don't want that many viewers because you're figuring it out and you're, kind of massaging it and trying to get to where you're really loving it. And you obviously can control what you do with the content when it's over. If you don't like it, you can get rid of it. But if you do like it and you feel like it's solid, I mean, sky's the limit with what you can do with it. Everybody struggles with what do we post? Every time you do a live event, have endless pieces of content. It's pretty remarkable.
So let's talk to the brands that are totally sold and they're saying, okay, Marcy, I'm on board. I want to get started with live shopping. I'm going to schedule my first event for 2 weeks from now. What guidance would you give them to prep over the next 2 weeks to get ready for their first event?
Great question. Again, you could theoretically go live today because we've got our iPhones and they're incredible cameras. And so could you do that? Absolutely. Would it be better if you had certain elements in place and you did have that 2 weeks? Yes, that would be my choice for you, because what we find, or what we have found, I'll use Amazon as an example. With Amazon Live, and this could be why Amazon didn't promote it so much in the beginning, is anyone and everyone could, not anyone and everyone, you have to either be an Amazon influencer or be an Amazon seller to be on Amazon Live. But people were just going live without decent lighting, without a decent microphone. So you could scroll through all the live shopping events that are going on at any given time. And so many of them are truly unwatchable. They're so bad. And they're not, the person isn't looking in the camera, and that they're getting up and going to the bathroom and coming back. And, just there was some not good content happening. I think the basics of what you need is you do need at least a decent ring light, let's say, something to light you well. Sound is really, really important. So having a good mic, whether it's a lav mic or a good camera mic, but those things are so affordable now that it really doesn't cost much to get into live shopping. It is probably the least expensive way to build brand awareness and to market your product of any other way that's out there. And that's why it's 4 years in a row now that it's been the fastest growing digital marketing segment there is. And there's no slowing down. It just keeps going and going. I think in the US by 2026, it's projected to be 70 billion here. And in Asia, it's 700 billion. But yeah, just in terms of what you really need, that's kind of it. Is you need a decent camera, you need a decent mic, and you need decent lighting. And if you've got your product, you can sit down and do a live shopping show like that. Now, to really have success with it and really think about why you're doing it and what your goals are around that is important. Eventually, you could start just with that, just to kind of test it out. But eventually you're thinking about, why are we putting any time and effort into this? Is it sales? Is it brand awareness? Is it building my email marketing list, which is one of my favorite benefits of it? You can build your email subscriber list very quickly with live shopping. As I mentioned, Greg and I do giveaways every week. And so to enter the giveaway, you just click here during the live shopping show and you put your email in and you're entered the giveaway. So your email subscriber list, and it's very targeted too, because they're watching your live shopping show. So clearly they're interested in what your product is already. And now you've got their email. So thinking about those goals, and then you would obviously tailor your particular live shopping event to achieve those goals at the end of the day. So really understanding what the goals around live shopping can be, and then to make sure you're structuring the show to accomplish those goals. So again, it's not always going to be sales. It might just be spreading the word, growing your tribe, if you will.
So I want to ask a little bit more about that and kind of put you on the spot with a hypothetical live shopping event and how we might go about structuring the timelines. But I did want to ask you in terms of tools, are there specific platforms that you'd recommend maybe early stage live shopping dabblers, let's say, go to for their first couple of recordings that maybe are just more straightforward to work with?
Yeah, very easy to do would be Facebook Live. So doing it via social media is a very simple way to do it. With our Grommet Live show, I use a platform called Restream, and that allows us to go live on Facebook, but also on YouTube and LinkedIn and Instagram. So we are simulcasting, and now we're comfortable enough to do that. But in the beginning, we might not have wanted to simulcast across all of these platforms. But that's how you can, again, really quickly build such an audience, because if what you're doing on any one of those social platforms, if the chat gets going, then that social platform recognizes that and they start pushing it out to more and more viewers instantly. And so you're maybe starting with 2 or 3 viewers, and then before you know it, you're up to 3,000 because something you're doing is working for the algorithm and they're pushing it out. That's why social media platforms can be fun to get started on. Where I'm finding that a lot of the bigger brands are now taking it to their own, they want to own it more and have it on their own website. And so, but you can also have it on your website while at the same time pushing it out, simulcasting it across all the different social platforms. And then there are platforms that are specific, like Amazon Live or Pinterest TV, that are for live shopping, whereas Facebook is for lots of other things as well. And there's comments sold, there's, reactive. There's so many of them out there, and that's growing quickly as well. But if I was just starting out, I would start on kind of the basic social media and let it grow from there.
So jumping back, I want to get some context from you if you're comfortable with it. Maybe we could even use one of your products as an example and kind of design how we would think about structuring a live shopping event for you. Let's say that I'm approaching it. You had mentioned email subscribers is a really good goal to go after. Let's talk through a scenario. How would we go about structuring a live shopping event if your big goals were maybe goal number 1, I want to grow my newsletter list. Goal number 2 is, hey, I really want to start thinking about my next series of product lines I'm going to roll out. Could we walk through that example together and talk through how you might go about prepping for that? Some of maybe like time constraints you put into play there? I'd love to hand you the mic. What would that look like?
So if growing my subscriber list was important to me, then I would want to do a good amount of pre-show promotion. So I would want to start letting everybody know ahead of time that this show was coming and that I'm going to be giving away a set of luggage or whatever it is that I'm doing to give away, which is kind of a fun social media element as well. That gives you content right there. So now you're putting a giveaway up on your Instagram, your Facebook, your website, a pop-up or something. So before the event even happens, you've exponentially grown your email list. The other thing that you can do, and that I've done many times, is you can collaborate with other brands. Let's say I'm doing luggage. Then I might collaborate with some other travel company that complements my luggage. So maybe it's a company that, just for the sake of it, sells packing cubes. Let's say I don't sell packing cubes. So we might do a live shopping event together and do a giveaway together. And so now they're marketing to their audience about this giveaway and this live shopping event. As people are entering the giveaway, we're both growing our email lists together. And because they've marketed it to their email list, now their whole list knows about me and my luggage and vice versa. That's something that's very, very successful in live shopping. And so then when you ultimately do go live, the audience is exponentially bigger and the list growth has happened in a much more significant way. But you can do that or not do that. You can also have guests on, which maybe you have a guest expert that's going to talk about travel tips, and could be Samantha Brown, who's big in travel. And you have her on and she's got 1 million followers. And now she's saying, come join me on Marcy's live shopping event. So now her followers are all going to be on my live shopping event. So if that's the goal, growing that list, then collaborations can be a really great way to do that, but definitely a giveaway, because that before the event even happens. And then I always give the opportunity when I'm live that you can still enter the giveaway. And then the other thing I do there is I wait to announce the winner of the giveaway, obviously, until the end of the show. And I tease to it throughout so that I'm growing my list continually. But more importantly, I'm keeping the audience engaged and on at the event all the way until the end, which is really important for SEO, as you can imagine. That brings me to another really strong benefit is if you put that live shopping show either during it or later and put it up on your website, that has significant SEO value because it is longer than typically someone's in and out of your site like that. This increases that dwell time so much because even if you have an hour show and they're only on for 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes on one. That's a big amount of time. And so that signals to the algorithm that you've got good content there and you're putting fresh content. Is this whole kind of flywheel that perpetuates so much growth. So not just that email list, but you're also growing in terms of how many people are finding out about you and your product and your brand. And I know there was one other, you said the email list and then one other goal. What was that?
Definitely. So maybe a better question is, how many goals should I approach my first or, my 10th, let's say, live shopping event with? Is it better to say, hey, I'm just going after email subscribers? Is it good to do kind of a two-pronged approach there? What I had originally asked about was, let's say you're going in, your goal is email subscribers and product development. You want to figure out if you should roll out this new line of suitcases. But you tell me, is it better to approach it and say, hey, here's the big goal we're going after. This is our only focus?
You could do it so many different ways, but in my mind, having one goal at a time, of course, you're going to hit other things along the way without even meaning to. But when you know what that one big KPI is for that particular event, I think it's much easier to structure and to really kind of create the event and conceptualize the event if you know what that one thing is. You can do live shopping events without, like a lot of people will do an event that's really not even selling at all, but it's more like FAQs even. Like, hey guys, I'm hosting this live shopping event to tell you the most frequently asked questions about my product. People do that really, really effectively because so you're inviting people that are already customers, but you want them to be happy. You want them to love their product as much as they can love the product. And so by giving them additional information, then they're even more excited about it. And then while they're on, they might buy more for other people. Then again, it's because they're getting to know you and you're giving them all these tips, then they want to share it with other people and that they might create content around that to share with their own audiences or friends or family or whatnot. So yeah, I think having the one makes everything a lot easier. But then as you'll see, it'll just kind of snowball the different benefits that you'll get from that one.
I recommend the same thing to clients when it comes to content creation, that really the area that we focus on, which is, hey, you're going to see the best results if you say, hey, this is our primary goal. And yes, maybe secondary, tertiary goals will come into play as well. But let's make sure we're putting all of our eggs into this basket so that we can do the best version of this particular item possible to achieve that goal.
Yeah. Yes. So, agree.
Within that, how do you think about the structuring of the actual live shopping event? So, we're going into it, we're trying to gain email subscribers. Is there a general time benchmark that you have in the back of your mind when you start recording and you kind of just see, what is the level of engagement that time? How do you think about that?
Well, one of the most important things, one of the real kind of key elements that I look at if you're looking at the live shopping, the brands that are doing live shopping and really having success with it, one of the main drivers of that is consistency. And I've experimented with that myself where I've changed the times. And it can really hurt what you're doing. So knowing ahead of time which day, if you're going to do it, think about what you're capable of. Do you want to do it once a quarter? Do you want to do it once a week? Do you want to do it once a month? Whatever that is for you, put it out there and stay with it so that your audience knows what to expect. And I kind of thought in the beginning, people will they'll find it but it's not so true. We really do have so many people that come back week after week after week and they count on it and they look forward to it. So having that consistency, choosing a time, and then how long, they also want to know what to expect in terms of timing. So for instance, in Amazon Live, they really like you to stay on at least an hour. And I know that can sound daunting to some people. I'm an Amazon influencer. So I'm talking about multiple products and it's really actually easy to stay on for an hour. And they like that because on a platform like Amazon, people are jumping in and jumping out, right? And so they want you to be on long enough for people to discover that you're there. My kind of rule of thumb is at least a half hour for any brand, because that does happen no matter where you are, where you want people to have time to get to you and to find you. So plan on at least a half an hour, but whether you're planning a half an hour or an hour, you're going to want to have a bit of an outline. It doesn't have to be, I would never want you to have it scripted, because it's that authenticity that makes live shopping so much fun and has people gravitating toward it in such a big way. So don't script it. But at the same time, when that hour's up, you want to be able to close the show. And if you have a call to action, to be able to accomplish whatever that is. And if you're doing a giveaway, you want to have time for the giveaway. And so just knowing, kind of keeping mindful of time in that way. And then also remembering that people are jumping in and jumping out. So remembering to reintroduce yourself and reintroduce the product. And in case you just jumped on, we're talking about X, Y, and Z, and we're getting ready to do a giveaway at the end. So if you haven't entered, so it is important to remember that it's not so linear most of the time. It's people are, coming and going, keeping people engaged, but then inviting new people in and understanding that some people are leaving. It's like a little bit of a dance that happens. We call it a run of show. Having some sort of a script of the way the show flow is going to go is important, just for your own peace of mind also, so that you're not all over the place. So just kind of, like I said, just sort of a bullet point outline is a good way to start.
Makes sense. I could imagine it's a really common thing when people first get started, that they're so passionate about what they're building. I think it's probably really easy to just go off in a million different directions, and all of a sudden 2 hours have gone by and you didn't even realize it. I love that, to have like that concentrated list of show notes. But to your point, don't script out every single word, then you lose that whole authenticity element.
And that you really want to kind of bounce off what the audience is doing too. And that live chat is so fun and so important, to be making sure that you're answering their questions. You want to have enough flexibility to be able to feed off of what they're needing and wanting from you. And so if you're so scripted, it ends up, don't do live shopping. That's just a video,
Well, Marcy, this has been amazing. Let's say for the listeners that are totally sold, that want to get started with live shopping, what resources would you recommend to them to really get started with their live shopping journey?
As you created the Live Shopping Academy, and I'm actually launching what I'm calling a quick start version of that, because the Live Shopping Academy is really comprehensive and all encompassing, telling you how to promote the show and then how to repurpose the content after the show, and strategies for keeping the audience engaged, and a whole gear guide and how to set up lighting. And it's kind of soup to nuts, everything you could possibly need when it comes to going live with your product or your brand or whatever it might be. And then the quick start version is sort of those basics of, okay, just tell me what equipment I need, tell me how to structure my show, and tell me what platforms I should be looking at or which one I should start with. It's kind of the basics. So either one of those versions, I think by the time this podcast airs, both of them will be out. But my whole goal with those was to make it so seamless for anybody, big or small, mom and pops, all the way up to the biggest of the big brands, to be able to take either one of the courses and confidently go live very quickly. And so it is very comprehensive, and it's also very hand-holding and step-by-step, so that you have all the elements in place so that you can kind of let the stress go and just have fun and focus. So obviously that's where I would start, just because it's not easy in the beginning. That's why I created it, is because I was buying, I don't know how many cameras and lavalier mics and lighting and trying different things. It was just such a work in progress. And then when I finally honed in on it, I thought, I just want to hand this off to people so that they can really start capitalizing on what's there with live shopping.
And listeners, Marcy made us a promise that she was going to share a unique discount code for you guys. So Marcy, would you mind sharing that discount link? Or discount code, I believe it was.
Yes. So for the full comprehensive Live Shopping Academy course, I'm offering for your viewers or listeners only, it is a 100 discount. And the code is, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Intergrowth? Do I have that right?
I think it was Intergrowth 100. Let's double check on that though. I had Intergrowth 100. Do you have the same one there?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Perfect, listeners. And we'll add that to the show notes just to make it a little more straightforward to sign up for it. But Marcy, thank you for coming on. This has been amazing. Before we wrap up, is there anything else, any final takeaways you wanted to share with the audience?
I was just thinking about your question about other resources to help them get started. I do have a couple videos on my YouTube channel all about live shopping. There's sort of a live shopping crash course, and I can't remember the titles of them, but you can find that on my YouTube channel. And you can go to my website, marcymckenna.com, to find all of the things we've talked about today.
Perfect. And we'll add those links to the YouTube videos to the show notes. I'll sync with you after and we'll get those links.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, listeners. So again, this is Marcy McKenna, the creator and founder of Live Shopping Academy. Marcy, thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was really fun. Great questions.
Thanks for tuning in to Customer Growth Sessions. If you found it helpful, subscribe and give us a review. It helps us to grow the show. Looking for more SEO guidance on how to grow your business? Contact us at intergrowth.com/estimator or email me directly. You can reach me at pat@intergrowth.com. That's all for today. We'll see you again soon.